Welcome in, I'm Archers, and in this video we're going to start off our OP15 coverage with one of my favorite leaders in blue, black, Usopp from OP10. Now usually I like to start off with the new meta, covering all of the new leaders first, but I have been trying to cook with Usopp since it has come out. Now with OP10, I ended up really enjoying this deck, doing really well with it, but ever since then, it has really seemed to struggle to find a good footing in the meta or finding the right deck list. Now, why is it relevant again? Because of the fact that in this OP15 set, we have a lot of Dressrosa support in blue, thanks to Lucy and also the blue Rebecca. So as a byproduct, Usopp actually ends up becoming a lot stronger with all of this new support. But before we go over the deck list and into any gameplay, if you're new to the channel, please make sure to hit that sub button and give the video a thumbs up while you're at it. It helps out the channel so much. Thank you all for the support. Additionally, if you'd like to talk about the One Piece card game outside of the YouTube comments, make sure to join the Discord community. The link for that is in the description below. So as a refresher, Usopp is a blue-black 4-life leader that reads your cost 2 and greater Dressrosa type characters have +1 cost, and then on the opponent's turn, once per turn, this effect may be activated when one of your Dressrosa type characters are removed from the field by your opponent's effect or are KO'd. If you have 5 or less cards in your hand, draw 1 card. Both of these effects are actually quite relevant a lot of the time, especially now in this meta where there's a lot of things that are hitting 7 cost, where all of your 7 cost characters in this deck are now instead 8 cost, so avoiding things like Electrical Luna. The second part of the ability to be able to draw a card if you have 5 or less in hand and something is removed from the field is often relevant, especially if your opponent's trying to control the board, or if you end up using a blocker to then KO that blocker and then draw off of that. One of the issues that this deck has really struggled with to make it a strong deck is its consistency. In the past, you've had a lot of searchers with the 1-cost Leo and the 1-cost Black Rebecca, but the Black Rebecca could not grab any other Rebecca type card, meaning that you couldn't find your main combo piece, which is the 7-cost Rebecca. Now in this meta, we actually have a lot more ways to find that in a consistent manner. Starting off, we are keeping 4 of the Leo searchers. This is a specific searcher for Usopp and really one of the best pieces to be able to open up with. Being able to rest your leader or stage, so on your turn 1 is going to be the best time to use this. You look at the top 5 cards of your deck, and then you can reveal up to 2 cards other than Leo that have the Dressrosa type, and then put them into your hand and then discard 1. So you're picking 2 of the best cards out of the top 5, and then getting rid of the worst card in your hand, filling up your trash in the process. A new addition to the deck is another searcher in the 1-cost Viola 2K. It's an on-play look at the top 3 cards of your deck, and then reveal up to 1 Dressrosa type card and add it to your hand, then place the rest at the bottom of your deck in any order. This actually takes the place of the 3-cost Barto blocker, which we lost out of rotation, and this just helps add consistency to the deck. If you don't have a Leo opening up or you don't have this 1-cost Rebecca opening up, you can use this Viola and find your pieces instead. Now, speaking of the 1-cost Rebecca, this is one of the best cards to be added into Usopp and one of the best cards to come out of OP15 in my opinion. It's a 1-cost 0-power character that says Dawn ×1 this character gains blocker, very relevant for this deck. And then on play, look at the top 3 cards of your deck, reveal up to 1 Dressrosa type card and add it to your hand, then place the rest at the bottom of your deck in any order. This Rebecca can grab your 7-cost Rebecca. This replaces the 1-cost Black Rebecca that rotated out as well. This one is a huge upgrade in that sense. While this does look at less cards from your deck, you are running all Dressrosa cards and it can grab any of them. So in fact, this is much better than the previous one. And on top of that, you can make it a blocker. So if you have extra Dawn to spare, having an extra blocker is incredibly important in this deck, and you can help get your leader ability off more consistently. Speaking of blockers, I'm running 2 of the new Sanji blocker. This is a really great way to finish games that people might not expect. It just says on play, up to 1 of your characters gains unblockable during this turn. Usually you're going to hold this for the late game to be able to go for game, but if you do need a blocker in a pinch, this is not a bad one to play. I'm running 3 Cavendish, so we're having a 3-3 split with the Cavendish in this 4-cost Zoro. I really like both of these cards, and I was kind of torn on if I should go 4-2 or if I should go 4-4 and kind of like reduce other things in the deck, but I think 3-3 is fine with these because in certain scenarios, I want to see the Zoro, and in other certain scenarios, I'm just happy playing the Cavendish instead. Cavendish is probably the best 4-cost in the deck though, so there is an argument to actually bump this up to 4. You have a when attacking once per turn effect that says draw 2 and trash 1. So just being able to draw a lot of cards, filter your hand, find your pieces is incredibly important in a combo-centric deck. Then I'm running a playset of the 2K Sabo that just is a 4-cost 5,000 power character that says if one of your characters other than Sabo with an original cost of 7 or less would be removed from the board by your opponent's effect, you may instead return this character to your hand. So this is just a great way to protect most of your board. If I have no other 4-cost to play, then this is a really solid play as well, just to be able to set up for future turns to prevent your board from being removed. A lot of the times your board isn't really susceptible to being removed, but in case there are some decks that have removal-based packages in their system, then this one is a really good one to be able to throw down early. Then I'm running 3 of the Kairos from OP10, a 7 cost 9,000 power body, huge stat line. On play, return a 5 cost or lower character to the owner's hand. You can return your own characters if you need to. For instance, if you played a Viola early and you want that 2k back to hand, you can bounce it back. If you want to bounce an opponent's character back to hand, that's probably the best target for most of the time. But this is one of your best beefy boys to be able to throw down on your 7 Dawn turn. Being able to cheat this out with the 7 cost Rebecca is what we're trying to do. The 7 cost Rebecca from OP10 says on play, if there's a cost 8 or great character in play, draw 1 card and then reveal up to 2 cost 7 or lower Dressrosa type characters other than Rebecca from your hand. Play one of them as active, and then the other that has a cost of 4 or lower, play it as rested. So this, of course, when it hits the field, because of your leader ability, is recognized as an 8 cost character. So then you get to draw the card, and then you get to play out a 7 cost character standing upright, and then a 4 cost or lower character rested. So oftentimes you're looking to play the Kairos, or we're going to be playing this new 7 cost Sabo blocker from OP15 that says on play, if your leader has the Dressrosa type, activate up to 1 Dressrosa type event card from your hand. We're not running a lot of event cards. We'll get to that in a second, but this card is once again just a blocker. So we're looking to fill up the board with as many blockers as possible to prevent us from going down in low life total, or to be able to prevent a character from being KO'd, or to just block outright and then use that on KO ability to be able to draw a card. Speaking of blockers, here's another playset of blockers. We have Frankie from OP10. He's an on KO blocker that says play up to 1 cost 3 or lower Dressrosa type character from your trash rested. So oftentimes this one is going to be bringing out a Leo, in my opinion, is probably the best target, or a Rebecca blocker to be able to search into the deck and grab something you might need. This is a really strong card to be able to, on 5 cards in hand, block, and then you get your leader ability. Plus then if you can play this Leo out from this Frankie, you're getting 2 more cards in hand, pitching the worst one. So you're actually going up in hand size by blocking, which is a really insane thing to just happen. We don't see this in the game very often, a block that ends up netting you positive cards. So this Frankie is really strong. One of the reasons why I have it at 4 is because it's just a really good card to be able to go up in hand size. This is one you might want to cut 1 or 2 of to increase the amount of Cavendish, but I'm trying to block max, so I think this is probably one of the better cards to keep in the deck, to be honest. I mentioned I'm running 3 of the 4 cost Zoro. This is an on play. You may rest one of your Dressrosa type leaders or stages, and then KO up to one of your opponent's cost 4 or lower characters, then place the top 2 cards of your deck into your trash. This is just a really strong tempo piece if your opponent has a 4 cost that you're trying to get rid of. This is why I have it at 3, because I want to see it enough times in a game to be able to at least play it once. When I had it at 2, I didn't find it enough despite the amount of searchers we have in the deck, and so I have it at 3 because I want to at least naturally draw into it or be able to find it rather easily with one of my searchers. Then I'm running 1 6 cost Luffy from OP10. This is a 6 cost 7,000 power character that says once per turn this character cannot be KO'd by your opponent's effects, and then when attacking you may place 3 cards from your trash to the bottom of your deck in any order. Then if your opponent has 5 or more cards in their hand, your opponent trashes 1 card from their hand. I don't necessarily run this card very often. There's a couple of reasons I have this in the deck though. One very silly reason, when I try to build decks, I like to include at least 1 copy of Luffy if I can, main character energy of course, and then secondly, you do sometimes with this specific build end up filling your trash up quite quickly, and you can get close to decking out based off of how many times you're drawing in a game. So having 1 copy to at least make sure you're not dying to yourself is a rather important safety measure in my opinion. But most of the times when this is in my hand, I'm not finding the time to play it, usually because I end up having a 7 cost Sabo or a 7 cost Kairos. If you do happen to go second and you draw into this on 6 or have it by the time you hit 6, this is a pretty solid card to play, and especially if you have stage to be able to give it pseudo rush or rush character rather, this is a really important card in those scenarios. Then to round out our characters, I'm running a playset of the 2K Sabo from PRBO2. It's a 6 cost 6,000 power character that says if you have 15 or more cards in your trash, give this card in your hand -3 cost. It's pretty easy to hit 15 in trash with this deck because of the amount of like cycling and card draw you have and trashing and all that stuff. So Sabo is a pretty easy 3 cost 6,000 power blocker to hit, especially in the later stages of the game. In scenarios where you are playing this Rebecca out, you can actually go Rebecca into like a 7 cost into this, which counts as a 3 cost. So you are getting an incredible amount of value by playing this out off of the Rebecca. Otherwise, a 3 cost 6,000 power blocker in the late game is pretty good. In the early game, it's just a solid 2K to throw out. Now to be able to hit our 7 cost Sabo stipulation of being able to play a Dressrosa type event from your hand for free when you play this, I'm running 3 of the go ahead and use a Mr. Luffy event. This is a 3 cost event that says choose 1. You can draw 2 cards or up to one of your Dressrosa Dressrosa type characters gains blocker until the end of your opponent's next turn. Honestly, this card is much better suited for Usopp than I think any of the other decks that it's intended for, because of the fact that the second part of this clause is very relevant for your leader ability and kind of your game plan in general. If you want, you can give a Leo or a Viola blocker, because if it's on the field, these cards are not really doing much otherwise, and if these cards end up going to the trash, you can bring them back out with Frankie. So you have the option to have an additional blocker, which is your whole game plan anyway. But to be honest, most of the time when I am playing this out off of the Sabo, I'm using it to draw more cards, just to find more pieces or get more counter in my hand. This is also not a bad option to play down on your 3-Dawn turn if you have nothing else to play. And this is also kind of like pitch fodder for Leo if you're looking for pieces and you don't necessarily have the time or opportunity to play this out. And then finally, I'm running 3 Colosseum. I think that this card is incredibly important, but the reason I cut it down to 3 instead of having it at 4 is because of the amount of searchers that you have. So you can find this a lot more consistently. This is a card that came out in OP04 that says if your leader has the Dressrosa type, your characters that have the Dressrosa type can attack characters on the turn that they are played. So it gives all of your characters rush character, which is now a keyword in the game. But Bandai said that this is one of the few select cards from the first block that you can actually continue to play post-rotation. So this is a very important piece for Usopp, and I'm glad that they allowed this card to continue to be a played card overall. One last thing before we go into any games, there are quite a lot of different things you can add to the deck, different tech, different ways to build it, which I'll go over at the end of the video, so stay tuned for that. But I found that I've had the most fun and success playing this list as opposed to some of the other options you can play. So let's take this list into the sim and see how it does. All right, into Lucy. This hand is actually pretty solid because we have the Colosseum, we have a Leo, and we also have a 3-cost event to be able to use that if we need to on our 3-Dawn turn. We'll go ahead and play out the Colosseum. I think this next turn, we will probably just play out the go ahead and use a Mr. Luffy. We'll swing 5 first just to get a card out of hand. This Leo being able to prevent a something that's 7,000 power or less from being removed from the field does hurt. We drew into the Zoro, which is nice. Them swinging 5 signifies maybe a 4-cost Cavendish coming down. Go ahead and pitch out the Rebecca. I'm fine using the Leo or Rebecca here. With this Cavendish, I think what we need to do is actually use this Rebecca to be able to find, awesome, the 7-cost Rebecca. And then we can go ahead and swing 5 into lead and then use the Zoro to attempt to pop the Cavendish, and the Leo will just bottom deck itself, getting rid of that, which is fine. We'll have at least the Zoro to be able to swing into the Cavendish the next turn, but also we can follow it up with the Rebecca Kairos, because at that point, I assume that they're not going to play another Leo this next turn to be able to protect this Cavendish. So we can actually just bounce the Cavendish back to hand. 6 and a 5. Let's go ahead and just counter out of this one because they might have like Bari Pistol to get rid of the Zoro, and then we can draw off of that at least. If we took that hit, we wouldn't be able to. There's the Bari Pistol. And then they'll probably swing another 6 here. Okay, 5 into lead. I'm considering taking this one. I think this is fine instead. Sabo's a pretty solid card, but I do want to get rid of this Cavendish and stop their draw. That's going to be super useful for us. So let's go ahead and swing 5 into lead, get a card out of hand. We'll use the Rebecca to then play out the Kairos into the Frankie, bouncing the Cavendish back to hand. Here, they're probably going to play out their 7-cost Sabo, which is fine for us because at least we have a 9k body to swing. Makes it a little bit harder for them to just free block. They will go ahead and use the 4-cost event, which can bring out the Cavendish again. Unfortunate. I think here we'll just take this one because we're going to be using the Rebecca combo anyway. What is our best option here? Ooh, into a Rebecca. Nice to see that from them, I suppose. Bari Pistol. Good to know that they have that. I think let's go ahead and use the Leo to see if we can find any pieces here. Zoro is going to be our best bet. It's actually going to be our best bet here. It means that we're probably not going to be swinging with our leader because we have to rest our leader in order to get the effect off. Let's go ahead and pitch the Cavendish. And then here, what we can do is just swing 5 with the Rebecca. And then I'm opted to play the 7-cost Rebecca on top of the Leo. And then at that point, leave the Frankie to be able to block. So I think that's fine. We'll also have the Sabo blocker as well. So let's go ahead and use the Rebecca, play over the Leo, play the Sabo over the Rebecca, and then we can then play the Zoro over the Rebecca that we just played, using the Zoro effect to pop the Cavendish, because I want that thing gone. I don't want them to continue to like filter their hand and get a little bit better. And that also puts us at 5 in hand as well, so that's pretty nice here. They do have the Bari Pistol, so they have the option of doing that or the 7-cost Flame. I was going to say Flame Fruit. That's not the name of it. It's why am I forgetting it? Entei. We'll just call it Entei for now. So they're going to probably use either one of those two options. Bari Pistol being the option they choose. That's fine. We'll go ahead and get the draw off of that. I would have expected them to do it on the Frankie, but it's fine that they got rid of the Zoro overall. Maybe they're light on 2Ks, and that's the reason why they did that. Here, I imagine they'll probably just like swing into the Rebecca and then maybe swing. Ooh, okay, 5 into lead here. I'm just going to free block this one. And they're probably going to opt to swing with the Sabo blocker, which if I were them, I probably would as well, because they have the Rebecca blocker and then they also have another Sabo as a backup. So they're probably not feeling incredibly threatened, although I do have 2 9K bodies on the field that I can potentially swing with, but they don't know that I'm probably not going to swing with the Sabo, just because of the fact that having multiple blockers up against this deck is pretty good, because they do have the option to reduce the power of something by minus 8,000, which is really hard to counter out of. So having blockers is nice in those scenarios. I think they're just thinking about should they swing with the Sabo. Okay, they're going to go Fire Fist to reduce it down. I'm just going to block this one with the Frankie while I can, get the Rebecca out, and I think we can go ahead and grab the 7-cost Sabo here. I think that's a pretty good option. And then they're going to use the Rebecca effect. Okay, we don't need too many of these Sabos, of course, but that's fine. We'll go ahead and use the Leo to grab the 3-cost event and a 2K counter. We'll pitch out the Cavendish because we don't really need to use that anymore. We'll go ahead and swing 5 into lead. We're just trying to chip them down here if we can. We'll go 5 with our leader. They're using their leader effect to pitch out events to be able to give them +1. So this is actually really good for us. They also don't really want to go down to 0, I would imagine. They don't know that we have Sanji, which we have our win condition in hand, but we're going to try to get them down to 0 and then maybe cheese them if possible. I imagine this one will probably be just like blocked if that's the case. Okay, they're going to use the stage to buff their Sabo by 2K and then swing or block that one. They'll just go 9 into lead, see if they take this. There is a risk of us or them going down to 0 and then they have Roger, but I think we'll be fine overall. We'll go ahead and use this event to draw 2. At least we got a 2K out of it. And then we will block her up the Rebecca. This turn, probably another Sabo coming down. They usually are able to chain Sabos, which is really good for them. They are able to grab a Rebecca, which then grabs a Sabo. Fire Fist, that's what I was thinking about. Okay, Fire Fist being able to +3, -8 to something on the field. I'm going to go ahead and free block this one. And then if they go 9 into 1, do I want to block this one? I don't think so. I'm actually going to give them all of the 2Ks in hand, because this way at least puts me down to 4 in hand, or 3 in hand rather, because I have to give them one more 1K, and then I can block this one if they choose to, so if they're choosing not to swing. Okay, that's actually interesting for us. We'll go ahead and swing 9 first just to see what they do. I want to push them down to 0. I'm trying to get this 3-cost Sanji as online if we can, but they're probably going to, yeah, I was going to say probably going to block 2K. Okay, that's fine for us. And then here, we're just going to go ahead and get some more cards out of hand if we can. We'll go 5 into lead. They might just free block one of these. We cannot swing with the Sabo that they reduced because it's reduced by 8,000 this turn as well. So at least we have 2 blockers established for the next turn. Pitching a Leo there, 2K, getting out of that hand. This is probably one where they will free block with the 7-cost standing Sabo. And then we have the option of... We actually have the option of doing the swinging with our other Sabo, but I don't know if I want to use that quite yet. Let's go ahead and play out the Rebecca over the Rebecca, see what we can get. I think we need to get this Leo because the Leo is going to be able to filter our hand a little bit better. This stage is incredibly dead, and we need to get this out of our hand. That being said, if we play this Leo, we won't be able to make our Rebecca a blocker. That's fine. We'll go ahead and grab 2 2Ks, and then we're going to go ahead and play a Sabo over it, and then we have 3 blockers here. That's actually really good for us. If they do want to try to pressure us down to 0, we're not going to lose the game outright. They might have another Sabo blocker into another Fire Fist, and if that's the case, then I think we just let the Kairos go, and then just hope for the best after that. I'm pretty certain that they probably have a 4th one if that's the case, because if you have the first 3, you're probably going to have the... There he is. Lucy, it seems to be one of the most consistent decks in the game right now, just being able to find all of the cards it needs. Really good for them. Obviously, with the amount of draw that this deck has, it makes sense. But anyway, they're going to go 9 into 1. I'm just going to let that one go. I don't want to have to block and then give them any kind of counter. And then I'm going to try to see if they can swing into us. Maybe there's a world where we should have blocked so that they would be swinging more blockers here. They do swing with the 1 Sabo, that's fine, and then they go ahead and then put the Dawn underneath the Rebecca to make it a blocker. We're drawing into a Zoro here, which actually is pretty solid because we can go ahead and just block or get rid of this Rebecca blocker for 4. Is that the best use of our Dawn? Maybe not, but we're going to go ahead and swing 5. I want to see if I can get their hand size pretty low. Maybe they will end up taking one of these hits because I'm going to actually try to go for game here. If they have Roger in hand, then they're going to be more incentivized to actually take one of these hits and go down to 0 if that's the case. So I think it's better to go ahead and just get that free like Rebecca block out of the way. We'll go ahead and swing 9 here, see if they take this one. They probably will. I mean, they might block, who knows? But anyway, they do take that one, which is really good for us, which means we can bait out some cards here with one of these Sabos. They bottom deck it with the pistol. That's totally fine, not a problem there. We'll go another 9. This one's probably going to be a block, and they probably don't want to block and lose one of their blockers, so they're probably going to give me a counter if that's the case. Another 2K, and then we're going to go ahead and give our Sabo unblockable with the Sanji and swing 12 for game. It doesn't matter what they have in hand at this point. There's nothing that they can do to get out of this one, which is why Sanji's so strong. Being able to give a character unblockable when they have 5 blockers on the field is pretty insane. All right, into Enel here. We are going second, which actually hurts us a lot. We want to go first. Our deck is very much a hit 7 and then pop off deck, so going second means that we're delayed by a little bit, but that's okay. We'll go ahead and play out the Leo, which I think is a pretty solid starting opening. The Zoro and Cavendish are probably our best bet, so we have some good options. We could opt to get the 6 cost Luffy down, but I think it's better to just go ahead and get the 2 4s to have options on this next turn. Pitching out the Frankie is fine. Here, what they'll end up doing is likely swing 6 with the Ohm and then swing 6 with their leader and establish a character. Now, if they go really wide this turn and they establish like multiple 1-drops, it's probably not the best for us to go ahead and play the Zoro out. The reason why the Zoro is really good if they only establish one 1-drop is because we can get rid of one of them and then swing into the other. But they're only really swinging with one 1-drop, so they established 2 1-drops in this turn, meaning that the Zoro is less effective overall. We still will get rid of one of the bodies, but that doesn't mean that we're not going to not get hit this next turn. So if they only establish 2, getting the Zoro down means that we're probably going to evade any kind of hit the next turn, but with 3 on the field, Cavendish is better to be played overall. They're playing El Thor to give something plus 1,000 power, so giving the Ohm, and then we get to draw off of that, which is actually really good for us because we were at 5 in hand. We'll take the 7, of course, and then what we'll end up doing is counter out of this 6 here. I think probably getting rid of the Sabo is fine. I think having a blocker option is better for the later game. And then what we can do is play the Cavendish down, swing the Cavendish into the Ohm, and then filter our hand. Looking at the 3-cost event right now, if we don't get a 7-cost Sabo, then I think we just pitch the 3-cost event. I don't think it's worth keeping if we don't have a Sabo ready to go for the next turn or 2, or I guess in 2 turns. So I think that's probably going to be our best bet here. Yeah, into 2 3-cost events, we're going to get rid of one of these here. 6 into 2, and then what we'll do is we'll swing 5 into lead. I don't mind giving them cards. Usually I like to starve this matchup, but because my deck is trying to just go wide and pressure them down, I think it's better to just go ahead and try to pressure them as much as I can, get them to a lower life total, even if that means they have a bunch of cards in hand. Now this turn, they might want to establish the 6-cost. They don't. They're establishing a Reiju, which is actually a very interesting character for them. I don't hate this card in the deck because of the amount of events that you have and you can put into trash, so it's pretty much an immovable blocker. But because they only have 1 in trash right now, it actually means that this Zoro is live. So we can play the Zoro and then swing into something. Going to be this pudding very likely, unless I don't think they have a way to buff up. I mean, they might have another El Thor, but I don't think they're going to want to use it here. Go ahead and pitch out the Sabo. Lightning Dragon, that's the name of it. The one that is a 0-cost event, freezes a 6k character. Unfortunate. It means that we won't be able to get an additional swing off to dig further into the deck. It is what it is. We'll go ahead and take this hit though. And then this turn, a very interesting turn because I want to play the Leo, but I don't want to be too greedy. Let's go ahead, and Satori's an interesting target, but I think I just want to get rid of this blocker while we can. We'll swing 6 into 2. And then I don't know if I want to establish... Do I want to establish the next turn? I think we go ahead and just swing 7. I think what we can do is we can play Leo the next turn because we're going to be on 8 Dawn. So what we can essentially do is go Leo on for 1 Dawn and then find our combo pieces if we need to. It also allows us to dig 1 deeper into the deck to potentially find the 7-cost Rebecca. That's what we're looking for this next turn is 7-cost Rebecca. If we can find a 7-cost Sabo, I might be inclined to play that instead because Kairos, while Kairos is a big body and good, I don't want to bounce anything back to their hand. So there's also the option of playing the Leo down, bouncing the Leo back with the Kairos. So we do have options though, which is nice. Down comes the 6-cost Enel, another Lightning Dragon. Unfortunate. I don't like that card whatsoever. Being able to freeze my Cavendish sucks. I want to be able to draw. Come on, man. Let me draw. So anyway, they're probably going to swing with the Satori, probably 6, and then a 6 with the Enel. I think what we could do is we might be able to counter out of both of these. Oh, I see what they're doing. Okay, so they are double minus 1,000 power with the Beast Kitten. So what we'll do is protect it 1 time. All we need to do is protect it 1 time. So we can give them a 2 and a 1. Then we will go down to 5 in hand. And then if they want to swing 6 into it again, we get a card draw off of it. So I think here we'll give them a Frankie and probably a Veal. Viola. Oh my god, did I just double click? Why did it do that? I didn't mean to hit both of them. Oh god. I just lost 2Ks. Or I lost 1 2K I didn't need to, so oh, that hurts. Okay, we do find the Rebecca, which is actually pretty nice here. Let's go ahead and get the Leo established though. Let's go ahead and get 2Ks to replace the one that we had. We'll go ahead and pitch out the 3-cost event because we don't have a Sabo in hand. We'll swing 2 into 2 and see if we can get a counter out of their hand right now. And then we'll swing 5 into lead. I imagine they'll probably give us a counter for this one. I don't know if they want to go down to 2. I mean, maybe they do. Maybe they have a lot of counter in hand and they don't really feel too threatened. I don't know if Enel really cares too much about taking hits down to 2 life. And then what we can do is we can play the Rebecca, which will then play out the Kairos into a Cavendish, and then we can bounce the Leo back to hand so that we have a Searcher for the next turn. We have a lot of Searchers in hand. We have the Rebecca blocker, we have the Viola, although the Viola is more likely going to be a 2K here. One of these Cavendishes will likely go down if they want to swing their 6-cost Enel into it. Another 6-cost Enel comes down. This card is just incredibly strong. They are pitching out the blocker Enel, which I'm glad to see they're pitching that one. That card is going to be somewhat of a pain to deal with. 6 into 6, I'm going to go ahead and give them a Leo here because they know I have a Leo. I don't want to give them any information what's in my hand. 6 into 6, I'm going to go ahead and give them a Viola because I want to use this Rebecca blocker for the next turn. And then if they go 10 into 6, we'll go ahead and just take that one. We're guaranteed to have the... Never mind. Another Lightning Dragon. Oh, man, this hurts. This hurts a lot. 4 into 2, we'll go ahead and get rid of that pudding. What is our best bet? I think we go Rebecca, see what we can grab. Oh, there's a lot of good options here, but I think Sabo blocker is probably going to be the best thing we can do here. Feel bad pitching those 3-cost events, but oh well, it is what it is. Here I'm going to swing 7 into lead. They're probably going to counter out of this one because the 9 is definitely going to be hitting their face. I don't want to swing into these bodies. The 10K body is not worth swinging into unless I can really just pressure them down, but they have so many cards in hand, it's just rather better for me to swing into face. And what we can do this next turn is we can go like 7-cost Rebecca into 7-cost Sabo into a Frankie if we want to. We have options, but I'm not sure if that is the best bet. I mean, it might be better just to play out the Sabo outright. Let's go ahead and see if we can get something off the Rebecca. I think it's probably better anyway. Let's go ahead and go Rebecca into a Sabo. We're going to play over that, and then we're going to play over the Rebecca that we established to play a Frankie. So that we have 3 in hand, 2 life, but we have 1 big blocker. They have 3 potential swings. Now, if they go Divine Departure, they could Mamaragon the Sabo, rest it, and then swing into my characters, but they also might want to pressure my life as well because I'm down to 2 and 3 in hand. So, yeah, this is a really interesting turn for them where if they don't establish a blocker, they're not establishing a blocker, they're getting another 6-cost Enel down, then we potentially could go for game. There's a world where we could go for game, although one of these 6-cost Enels is going to be like swinging for what, 14? Because they're going to put 4 Rested Dawn underneath it, and they're going to probably swing at the Kairos, and I don't have enough to be able to get rid of it. Unlucky, of course. Here they're going to probably swing the 5-cost, the 5,000 power Enel into probably lead, I would imagine. That's what I would probably, yeah, into lead. I think I'm going to take this one just to see what I can get. I'm not in any danger of dying, and if we can get 1 more counter to be able to potentially protect one of these bodies, I think it's fine. It's a 2K, which is really good for us, but obviously if they swing 14 into 9, I'm not going to dump my hand here because it means one of the cards is going to go down anyway. So we'll get the card draw off of the Kairos and then see what they do here. If they want to swing 10 into the Cavendish, or maybe 10 into another character. 10 into lead, okay. Does that mean I'm going to take it? I think I should just take this one. We're going to go for game this next turn anyway, so I think that's fine. Into a pudding. Pudding to grab nothing. Oh, thank God, man. Yes, that's what we love to see. We're going to start off with a 9, because the 9, if they take this one, then we can probably, without any Dawn investment, we're just swinging a 9, right? Which means that they have to give us cards. Let's go ahead and swing, I think 7 first with the Cavendish, just to see if we can get some cards out of hand off of this. This is a really good hand we have. We could establish something this turn, but I'm not really feeling too good based off of the amount of 10K swings they're going to have our turn. So I think we just go and try to go for game here. 7, 7, and then I'm going to put 5. I'm going to swing 5 with the Rebecca. Mamaragon's a card that actually is really difficult to try to guess what they have in hand because they can just draw off of it. It's a 1K plus also draw, so really good there. 5 into the Enel leader, another Mamaragon to get that +1 draw. And then we're going to go 11 into lead. So let's see if they have it. 4 cards in hand. They go Lightning, Beast Kitten +2. Mamaragon to draw 1. They might have it. Holly, however you want to say it, and then nothing. Okay, so we got a little bit lucky that they didn't have any more counter after that. I think we played it fine because Enel definitely doesn't do well against decks that go very wide and be able to pressure them back. If they establish a blocker this turn, we might have been in a little bit more trouble. Into Nami here, I am going to go first, and this is a really good hand because we have Rebecca blocker, we have the Colosseum. I think it's probably better to just go ahead and, well, I mean, it doesn't really matter because we're going to go Colosseum or Rebecca on 1, and then we will make Rebecca a blocker the next turn. We're going to go ahead and grab the 7-cost Rebecca so we have our combo piece because 2 of them were in the top 3. So we'll go ahead and then this next turn play Colosseum and then put a Dawn underneath the Rebecca so we can get our draw off when we block with it. Leo is also, oh my gosh, this is just a really good start from us. What we will do is we'll swing 5 lead just to get their leader ability so they can pitch a brick to go to 7. We just want them to get cards out of hand. That's the case for us. And then what we will do is play out the stage, use the stage in conjunction with Leo to be able to look at the top 5, grab 2 cards, and then see what we can get from this top 5. Okay, so we'll go and get a Kairos and a Cavendish. I think it's probably going to be fine. We could grab a Sabo for a 2K, but I think we'll go ahead and pitch a Cavendish just to not really give them any information because they know we grabbed one, so we pitched one, and we have one to play this next turn as well. So I think the Cavendish is probably going to be one of our better options to play this next turn, unless, of course, we have something to get rid of the young girl. This turn, though, we will, I mean, I don't know what they have on 4. They could have like a Kiku Nojo. They could also have the 4-cost Zoro. They have a couple options, but we'll see what they do. Regardless, we're going to block no matter what because we have 5 in hand, so we get the card draw off for free. Zoro is actually a pretty solid option here. I don't think I need to swing 6. I'm just going to swing 5 because 5 or 6 is the same thing against Nami because they can just pitch a card to make their stuff 7K, which they do. And then we're going to go ahead and play the Zoro just to get rid of this young girl so they don't have the free Dawn every turn. Now, I imagine this turn they're going to play the 5-cost Nami. Yep, we're going to take a life, and then because we didn't grab a 2K with the Sabo a couple turns earlier, I think that we're getting slightly punished here because we're going to have to take this 7. We just take 2 life in a single turn. That hurts a lot. We'll swing 5 into lead. I'm not going to swing the Zoro because I don't really want it to go down quite yet, and then I'm going to play the Rebecca out, playing a Kairos and a Cavendish, and we'll bounce the Nami back. They can play the Nami again, but if they play the Nami again, we don't take a life, which is really good for us. And then we can start pressuring them with 7s with the Cavendish and Zoro potentially. It depends what we want to do this next turn. So I think we'll see what they do and then we can respond accordingly. But regardless, this Cairo is really good to establish because 9K bodies are really strong against Nami. Having them, oh God, a young girl, another one coming out. Jesus, this is going to be somewhat painful for us. We could answer this, but I don't know if we want to. It just depends on what we get. They're going to swing, what, 7? Maybe 8, 7 into the Cavendish. Okay, I'm just going to go ahead and give them a 2K. Even if they swung 8, I'd give them a 2 and a 1, and that would actually help us out quite a lot, getting us down to closer to 5 in hand. They take the 5. We're going to swing 7 here. Let's go ahead and swing another 5. Because they didn't use leader ability, let's make them use the leader ability, and then we'll swing 7 into lead. I think we could probably pitch the Zoro. I think that's fine. And then we can swing the Cavendish. They took the 7. They might be bricked up. It seems like they're kind of bricked up if they're taking these. Down to 1 life, interestingly enough. We'll go ahead and play out the Sabo, and then we're going to use this to draw 2. So we get a dead card, and then we get a 2K. That's fine, though. We have a pretty sizable hand, and obviously they don't have pudding anymore, so we're not going to get punished for having this many cards in hand. Down comes a Robin. The Quasar, oh my, that was the last life. Of course it is. They did have a Borsalino in trash. That was one of the earliest cards that they pitched out. So at least we dodged that, although they probably have another Quasar in life, of course. So it is what it is. But with the Sabo established on the field, at least we can free block one of these things. They might want to go like 7, 8 potentially. If they go 7, we can just give them counter. If they go 8, we can free block it. Either way, we'll be fine. So then they go 7 first into the... we'll just let this one go. I don't really... This Rebecca, while it is a nice little poker, I think is fine to just let go. We don't get a card draw off of it. It's fine. It is what it is. And then 8 into 6, I'm just going to block this one with the Sabo blocker. And I'm going to go ahead and just pressure face. I don't know if it's really worth bothering with this Nami because they could just, when it gets KO'd, bring out like a Borsalino if they have it in hand. So let's just go ahead and continue to pressure face here, pitching out the Cavendish because we're not really going to be opting to play that right now. They do give us counter. It's a 2K, so interesting to see that. We'll go ahead and do another 7 into lead. What else do we have that we could play? I mean, we could play blockers. We have blockers for days. Let's go 9 into lead here. Do they take this one? They'd have to give us a 2 and a 1, which they've already given us a weird counter because maybe their hand is a little bit bricked up. If they take this one, I don't know if I want to take a bait. Let's see here. We'd have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We could go 17 into lead. And there's always a world where they could have counter, especially with the baby 5 being the last one. I don't know if I'm comfortable swinging with the Sabo unless we get something to be able to play. Okay, this is actually really good. We can get a Sabo and the 3-cost event. Let's pitch out, I suppose, the Kairos because we're not going to really have an opportunity time to play it anymore. Let's go ahead and swing the Sabo first and then see what they do from there. And then we can play out the 7-cost Sabo into the 3-cost event and draw some more cards and have a lot of cards in hand to be pretty healthy. They just didn't have it. Okay, they were really bricked up. And also a good thing that we didn't swing into the Nami because they had double Borsalino ready to go. All right, into Brook. This is a not great hand. We're going to go first, of course. And this is much better because we have options to play. We can play Coliseum on 1. We can also do the 3-cost event on 3. But we can also just do a Viola and find more pieces if we need to. We have a couple of good options here. It depends on what we draw as well. So I kind of want to... I don't want to make a decision quite yet. That Luffy's really good. It's going to be really hard to deal with. I think we just swing 5 into lead here. And based off of we don't know what's going to come up next, let's go ahead and just do the draw 2, get it out of our hand. We would have been able to get the Rebecca, notably off of the Viola, but I think it's fine to go ahead and just get the what is a dead card out this early. And then here, I'm going to go ahead and give him a Sabo 2K. I don't want to give him a Rebecca blocker because I want to use that for some searches. This 2-cost Zoro is really good because it prevents any kind of removal for the most part. Here, I think I want to go Sabo 2K, and then I'm going to go ahead and establish this Cavendish. And then this next turn, what we can end up doing, we don't really have a great 7-cost Rebecca turn. Ooh, okay, so this Luffy coming down is kind of scary because it has double attack. Unlucky. They're going to go ahead and use the Chopper to get back a Nami. They're going to use the Nami to rest the Rebecca and Cavendish, and then swing into the Rebecca blocker. That's fine. I get a draw off of it. And then if they want to swing 5 into lead, I think I kind of want to give them a 1K here. I don't want to give them a 2K off of this because of the fact that they have the 6-cost Luffy. Okay, so this is not great. We're going to go ahead and swing 5 into lead. We don't really have a great Rebecca play, so maybe we can draw into something with this Cavendish. Still not the best. It's really not the best, but I think what we can do is just pitch out the Sanji. We don't really need it right now. And what we can do is play out this Rebecca. Rebecca then gets the Sabo out on the field, and then we can go ahead and then get rid of the Nami, which will actually just probably get rid of the Zoro because of the fact that they can trash it. And then we're going to swing the Rebecca into the Nami just because we don't really... They're not going to do anything with that anyway, but, you know, to get maximum value out of it. Down comes the 8-cost Nami, which will probably bring out the 7-cost Luffy. And it has Rush, and it's a 9K, so they're at 19 in trash, which means all they have to do is counter one time, and then their leader becomes a 7K leader. We'll go ahead and let this one go. We'll get the card draw off of it just to see what we can get out of it. 9 into 6. I don't want to let this Cavendish go down, so I'm going to go ahead and give them 2 2Ks. And then they decide not to swing with the Luffy, which is fine because they probably are scared of like me coming at them with like a Rush Kairos, which that's respectable. Here what we can do is grab a Kairos, and I think Frankie's fine. We can pitch out the 3-cost event. We don't necessarily need it right now. Let's go ahead and bounce the Nami back to hand, and let's go ahead and swing into lead here. We'll go 5, and then they become a 7K leader, of course. Let's go ahead and get the draw off with the Cavendish, and then what we'll do is we'll swing with the Zoro at lead, so 7 into lead here. And then if they give us a 1K, which they do, we're going to go ahead and swing 9 into 9, which we know they have a counter in hand, the Nami, but at least we're getting that out of their hand this next turn. They have 3 cards in hand. We have a pretty sizable board. We're at full life right now, and they have 2 life left. They're getting close to losing the game here. So we have to really apply some pressure this next turn or two while also just not dying outright to any kind of OTK. The 6-cost Luffy, of course, has double attack, so that's really scary, and if we want to, you know, not die, we need to make sure not to take too many hits this turn, of course, but this is a really complicated turn, and their board is actually much better than ours right now because of the fact that they have a bunch of 7K bases. Oh my god. They got the Nami off of they're actually playing this really well. Pirate docking to get the Nami out. We're going to go ahead and just get the Leo off the field, get a card draw in the process of this. 6 into probably a body. I'll give them a 1K here. They might want to go 10 into 6. If they go 10 into 6, we'll let that go. And then if they go 7 into lead, I will actually just take this one. I could counter out, but I'm fine going down to 2 life here. And then with 2 in hand, let's go ahead and just pressure the board. Let's pressure the board for free. 6 into 6. They let that one go. Let's go 9 into the Luffy and see what they do here. This is not for a character, so they actually messed up here, giving us a +3, which would have been towards leader, I suppose. They let that go, and then here what we can do is then play the Leo, get a further search out. I think what we can do is grab the Sabo 2K and then the Sanji, and then I think we just pitch maybe one of the Sabos because we don't really have time to play another one, I don't think. I think we're going to finish the game here in another turn or two, so I don't think... Oh my god, what a draw. What a draw. Sabo into Frankie to play over the Rebecca. So now our board is massive. We can then draw 2 cards off of this, and then we have 2 Dawn left open. We drew into a 2K. We're drawing some really good cards here. We'll go 7 into 7 just to pressure them, get that 1 card out of hand, or get them down to 1 life, which they opt to take. Really good for us here. And then we do have the Sanji, of course, to be able to go unblockable if we need to. I don't think we're going to lose this turn. We have a lot of bodies, a lot of pressure on board, a lot of things that we can just put 1 Dawn underneath and then swing into them. And with 2 cards in hand, 1 blocker and 1 life, we can probably just math it out at that point. 4 into lead. I could just take this one. I don't think I'm in any trouble here. They're not going to be able to restand something, I don't think. So we'll go ahead and just take this one. We have a lot of counter in hand. We have 2 blockers up, so I'm not really that worried, to be quite honest. They do have Pirate Docking. They do have the 10K Luffy, a 9 into 5. I think we just let this one go, yeah, because we get a card draw off of this one. We let the Frankie go down, and then we can just play out the Rebecca to see what we get off of this. And we get another 2K. So yeah, we're like super healthy. We're fine. There's no problem here. We'll give them the Sabo that we just got off the Rebecca. And then 10 into 6. I can block and then give them a 2K here. Here, I think I just start off with the Kairos. If they block this one, then we can just swing with the Sabo. If they don't block this one, then we give the Sabo unblockable with the Sanji in our hand. Here, we'll just swing 9 into 7. They have to give us 2 into 1. They don't, so then we can just put the rest on the Zoro and swing 16 into 7, and that's guaranteed to go down. So yeah, we just really pressured their bodies with the amount of tempo that we got, establishing a very wide board very early on. That's the power of 7-cost Rebecca. Overall, pretty good showing with this deck. I'm actually pretty happy that we did well against Enel. I feel like that matchup's rather tough, especially if you're going second. It can be quite the uphill battle, but we were lucky that they didn't have enough counter at the end, and also that their blockers just never showed up, I suppose. So that's something that you have to keep in mind, and if they have the 6-cost blocker Enel, then it can be rather difficult to get past them at times, or go for lethal in those scenarios. Outside of that, the other matchups, I think that Usopp, we definitely were able to show what this deck can do overall. That being said, there are, as I mentioned in the intro, some different variations you can add to the deck, so let's go over that right now. A card that I've been considering for the longest time is the 2-cost Rebecca, which just came out in EBO3. It's a blocker that says on play, look at the top 5 cards of your deck and reveal up to 1 Dressrosa type stage, and then add it to your hand, and then place the rest at the bottom of your deck in any order, and then you can play that stage with the cost of 1 from your hand. So this is a great way to find your Colosseum very early on, but as I mentioned, we have a lot of searchers to be able to do that anyway, so having this card in the deck doesn't necessarily mean anything that you're trying to hit, because you can usually find the stage anyway. Sure, you're able to find the Colosseum and then play it for free, but to be honest, I just didn't really have too much room to add this in. I think most people are looking to play EDO if they're playing a chump blocker, but I think Rebecca's probably a little bit better suited for the deck overall. Another card that I think is somewhat important, but I think what we're trying to do with this deck is be more tempo-based, fill up the board as fast as possible, and kind of just pressure your opponent. But if you are looking to go more of the control route, you can include the 1-legged toy soldier for your 2K counter. It's an activate main, send this character to trash, and then give up to one of your opponent's characters -3 cost. So if you have this established, and then you do your combo where you're able to play out the 4-cost Zoro, or like the 7-cost Kairos, you can bounce back an 8-cost or KO a 7-cost, which that can be relevant. But I think overall, this is one that I'm going to have to experiment a little bit more with. I opted to go more of the consistent fill up the board route instead of the control the board route. Another card that came out in OP15 that I've been considering is the 8-cost 6,000 power Nami that says on play, if your leader has the Straw Hat Crew type, play up to 1 Straw Hat Crew type character card with a cost of 7 or less from your trash, and that character gains rush during this turn. If you do end up building with this character, you kind of have to change your deck composition a little bit more. You don't necessarily have the strongest Straw Hat Crew types with this current deck list. I think out of it, we have 1 Luffy and then like 3 Zoro and then some Frankies as well, which you're not going to really want to rush in with this Frankie. This Zoro is okay, but you want to find a better stat line, something that's going to be closer to 6 or 7 cost, because you're wanting to get the maximum value out of this. So if you do go with this route, I would consider bumping this Luffy up to maybe 3 or 4, and And you can also include the new Luffy that also came out in OP15, which it's not Dressrosa, but it is a card that is I think a staple for a lot of black decks, being able to buff your leader on defense and then also just naturally be almost immovable from the field. This Nightmare Luffy is incredibly strong, so you might want to consider this in the deck as well. And then I think the last card I'm considering, there's probably some more that I'm not thinking about right now, but at least Bari Bari Pistol is the other card that was in consideration to add to the deck, because being able to have more events to play with your Sabo blocker is rather, useful, of course, being able to get that full effect. But I found that this card is very niche. It's really good in Lucy because you can do the power reduction and then bottom deck a 6,000 power character. You don't have that option here, so you just have to get rid of a 6,000 power character, which there's plenty to choose from on the field, of course. You have like Borsalinos, you have Namis, like you have the 4-cost Zoro in yellow. A lot of yellow cards are going to be hit by this, so this is actually a pretty strong option if you are expecting to go against a lot of yellow decks in your meta, which, to be fair, there are going to be a lot. So this is one that I'm going to experiment around a little bit more with, but I found that the 3-cost event was probably just the better one all around, because if it's in hand in the late game, you can still play down your characters that you need to, and then also play the 3-cost event in the late game. If this is in your hand, you can play this down and then maybe a blocker. So I think the options with the 3-cost event were a little bit more prevalent in my opinion, but this card is also a really good card that might make the cut later on down the road. But yeah, I feel like I could yap about Usopp for quite some time, so appreciate you guys sticking around for the video for this one. I'm really happy that Usopp is somewhat back in the meta. At least I think he's like somewhat of a sleeper hit. I don't know if too many people are thinking about Usopp overall. I know when the new leaders come out, people are trying to play like the flavor of the month. So like Lucy is probably the deck I'm going to stick with, but Usopp is one that I think I'll break out from time to time just to have some fun with, because he is very playable once again, which is good to see. But anyways, let me know in the comments below what you guys think about Usopp. What other additions have you added to the deck list that I might not have considered? Let me know in the comments. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.